Welcome to Tabletop Gaming Guild. Tabletop Gaming Guild is all about the experiences and memories that playing games with friends and families can create. Today we'll be looking at Moonshine Empire, which is designed by Caleb Mack and Jason Zvar and published by Barrel Age Games. In Moonshine Empire, Pappy's biggest distiller in the area, and he's getting ready to retire, so up to 4 players can compete to take over his business, and basically they have to show that they are capable of satisfying customers by distilling high quality booze and fulfilling as many customer orders as possible to impress Pappy so he's willing to hand over his empire to them. But before you can really satisfy those customers, you have to also upgrade your stills and get vehicles to transport quickly. And being as your distillery is on a swamp, you have all the added difficulty of land and water routes you have to navigate. So this basically boils down to a race to get as many customers satisfied as possible. But no race would be complete without some obstacles in your path. That is where the sheriffs and crocodiles come in. Sheriffs and crocodile will be circling around this inner path around the tavern, and sheriff will try to confiscate goods if you come across them. It can be bribed though. Or the crocodiles may eat your moonshiners. They can also be bribed with booze, because apparently these crocodiles are alcoholics. So let's take a closer look at how this game is played. Each player will start with their player aid, and that player aid will be paired with a character card that gives you the stats and starting resources. It gives you a lot of information just on the sheet. It'll tell you how each person and vehicle moves. It'll tell you the breakdown of the turn. And it also tells you can hold 3 incomplete customer orders, as well as 3 upgrades. And then gives you space to put all those orders once they are complete. Before the game starts, each player will get 3 challenge cards. And of those 3 challenge cards, you get to keep one, give one to the player on your left, and discard one. But it's important to consider carefully, because if you fail that challenge, you lose those points at the end of the game instead of earning them. In the second half of the game, you will get 3 more challenges and can discard 2. It can be from the new ones or your old ones, so that might give them a chance to get rid of a nasty one that you gave them. So let's go into how a turn is played. So again, we can look at the player sheet. So the first thing you're going to do is randomize the round order. So everybody's going to have a cube that is going to be shuffled up and then put on the board. There is also going to be a cube for the policemen and for the alligators, which we'll get into more detail in a moment. So after you've randomized turn order, everybody would then get to add a shiner, aka a worker, to their camp and use those workers to either distill moonshine or moonlight to earn money. Let's jump to a camp as it may appear later in the game. You'd look at all your camp tiles that had meeples on them, and they would generate income or hooch. In this example, I would earn $70 and distill 1 level 1 hooch here and 2 level 1 hooches here. However, you can also use your distillery to upgrade existing hooch. So if I already had a level 1 hooch, I could convert it to a level 2. And the next step is take customer orders. So you're going to draw customers equal to the number of players who don't have a complete customer loads. So at the beginning of the game, it's simply going to be equal to the number of players. We'd be able to choose 1 card each. You could always choose to forego taking one, because it's important to note that if that customer has points on it, if you fail to fulfill that order by the end of the game, those count against you. And customers give you different rewards. Some of them are monetary, some of them are points, and some of them are auction cards. To explain auction cards, we will go to the next step in the game. In the auction phase, you'll secretly bid for priority in choosing from the various auction cards. And once again, you're going to draw auction cards equal to the number of players. Everybody who bids loses their money. But if you choose to bid 0, you do get last choice in the cards, and you're excluded from the second round of the auction. So in the second round, you would draw cards equal to the number of players who actually bid in the first round, and then do another round of bidding, excluding anybody who bids 0 in the first round. Now, these auction cards have various effects. They all are instantaneous. Many of them give you vehicles, some of them give you workers, some of them give you extra distilleries or extra ways of earning money. In the second half of the game, however, you'll be adding bonuses and penalties to these auction cards, shuffling it in the deck to appear randomly throughout the game, and the bonuses are just straight points. The penalties give you a take that action at a slight cost. Once you finish 2 rounds of bidding on auction cards, you would then, in turn order, get to move and possibly deliver. How does movement work? Pretty straightforward. If you look at your cheat sheet or your player aid, a person can move 1 space on land, ATV can move 3, truck can move 2, rowboat can move 1 on water, airfoil can move 2 on water or land, making it a very versatile vehicle, and each one has its own load capacity. But bear in mind, it's very important to think about the fact that every vehicle gets to move and every person can move. So you can actually chain. So if you move one vehicle, end up in a space with another, you could transfer to that vehicle, then move that vehicle, and then your person can choose to get out to finish his movement and possibly deliver in 1 turn. So it can be very advantageous to leave empty vehicles around. However, other players can swoop in and steal those vehicles from you if they're unattended. Also bear in mind, any vehicles left unattended at the tavern or in this road circle can disappear and be lost forever. Also, any moonshiner that delivers is also lost because he hangs out the tavern doing what you might do at a tavern. The game goes for 8 rounds. After the 4th, you would get more challenges and add the bonuses and penalties to the auction deck. And at the end of the 8th round, you would total up points, getting points for the number of jugs you delivered and the quality of those jugs, all the customers you've served, your ending cash, and swamp tiles, which I have not talked about. I'll talk about in a second. You also get points for any challenges completed, and any character bonuses and/or bonuses or penalties from auction cards. Let's jump back to these swamp tiles. These are nice little minor exploration element to this game. Throughout the map, there'll be dotted these little swamp tiles that if you end your turn on them, you get to flip them, and they usually have something you can trade to get something else, such as this one that allows you to trade an airfoil for $100. Not a great trade, but bear in mind, these are worth more points the more of them you get. Up to 21 points if you have a large number of them. So while these are often very expensive, they can really pay off if you focus on them. The game also includes a small module of upgrade cards, which basically allow you to upgrade your vehicles and/or people to either move faster or carry more. Basically, improve your ability to deliver goods. Before we get into how I feel about this game, first we should address the theme. Now, this theme clearly is not for everybody. If you're uncomfortable with dealing with alcohol and illegal transportation of said alcohol, this may not be for you. Also, while it has a wide variety of characters you can play, ranging in many ethnicities, they are caricatures that do rely on mild stereotypes that hopefully come off as more silly than offensive. I feel that they do, but opinions may differ. So let's get into how I feel about this game. I like a lot of the elements. I like the concept. It's the idea of racing, and it's kind of a pickup delivery, but it's also a race. You get minor exploration elements. I do like trying to chain and get a nice path to the tavern. And, you know, if you set that up nice, it's really satisfying to, in one turn, just deliver a bunch of goods and satisfy multiple customers. But when you're teaching this game, it's very important you make it clear how important chaining is, because it's easy to overlook in your first game. And if you're not chaining, it doesn't seem like you can get anything done in this game. You don't have a lot of time, so you really do have to line yourself up to deliver quickly. Let's get into the bonuses and penalties in the auction cards in the second half of the game. Obviously, bonuses are great. They're just straight points. You're spending money, which actually is points as well, for hopefully more points. However, the penalties are very they can be very punishing if you're not ready for them. For example, there's one that allows you to steal an unoccupied vehicle. But that means if you spent several turns setting up a nice little chain to deliver on this turn, and they steal one of the vehicles in that chain, that might be it for you for a while. You might have to spend a lot of time resetting that up. So, you need to plan some redundancies. It's one of the elements I thought could have been tweaked to improve a little bit, because on your 6th turn, it often stops all of a sudden. It doesn't feel like a race anymore. It feels like optimization. You've got to figure out, okay, by the 8th turn, I have to get this, and this delivered. How can I do that? On the 8th turn, if you didn't stop and think for a while on your 6th, you may not be able to do anything anymore. Despite that, I like this game. It's fun, it's lighthearted. Components are high quality. You have a nice little player shield to hide how much money you have, as well as your little crate full of moonshine you've delivered. The vehicles are pretty cute, and the meeples slot right into them. And not only that, your little moonshine can slide into the hands of your meeples. I think that's a really nice touch. It really gives a nice visual to the game, as well as keeping things neat and tidy. The rulebook is also well written. It's well laid out. You can find what you need easily. There's a few minor rules that I wish they would clarify a little bit better, but overall it's a rulebook. They also added this nice little component tray to keep everything organized. And they've done it in a way that didn't seriously mark up the cost of this game. Well, that's Moonshine Empire. Excuse me while I feed my alligator. Bye. Well, thank you for watching. Please join us again for more reviews, playthroughs, unboxing, and other content. You can check us out on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, various podcast apps, and many other social media.